Morning, this is a review of the Netflix original series Knights of Sidonia. No audio, video, clips from the anime in question are being used in the making of this review. Plus, as a precaution, I am not paid by anyone, let alone Netflix, to produce the results or the score in this review. This is completely my opinion based on me binge watching the whole thing. And by the way, this review will contain minor to major spoilers. So, if you don't like spoiler bait, here's your chance to leave the review right now. Thank you. Greetings and salutations here. It's time for another Kadic Review. I am, of course, Nirvana Sparkle, or in this case, my actual identity, Leoka59. It's been a while since I've done an anime review. The last time I did one, strangely, was when I was doing the Digimon seasons. That's how long it's actually been, guys. It's been forever. So I was cruising through my Netflix queue when I saw an anime I'd never heard of before. Knights of Sidonia. And strangely, it was a original series. Now granted, Netflix has been on the original series kick with other shows like Orange is the New Black, or Hemlock Grove, or of course House of Cards, Portlandia, of course, being, and others planned, as well as the animated series Turbo Fast. But this is the first time I actually went and did a true anime series. Knights of Sidonia is what you would call a member of the mech genre. Gundam, Code Geass, and others. And, oddly enough, this short 12-episode anime is based around, of course, the manga book of the same name, which is far longer. If you want more analytical work on the creator of the anime series, and some of the background, I recommend you go over to a fan favorite of mine, Digibro. He has a channel called Digi Does Anime, in which Knights of Sidonia is a topic of a couple of his videos. So I will leave annotation links to both of those videos here in the review for further context. This is just my general impression on what I saw of the show without any kind of deeper context. Knights of Sidonia takes place in a future world where Earth is kind of in a bad way destroyed by an alien race. This alien race almost led human beings to extinction, and for 100 years went completely dormant. Meanwhile, the remains of humanity sought shelter in what are known as seed ships. These seed ships are led by the flagship of that fleet known as the Sidonia. Where the Knights of Sidonia comes from is the many pilots tasked to defend Sidonia against this alien threat that can only be killed by spearing them with a special spear known as the Kabashi spear that penetrates their brain, known as the Enna, and causes it to disintegrate. Out and out, this seems like a very simple premise. For 100 years, the people of Sidonia have lived untouched by this alien race, kind of Attack on Titan style almost. Until that is one day a young kid, Hayate, played by Johnny Young Bosch of my beloved Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin and Zeo days is found living underground in a rice factory. His grandfather dying and passing away, and leaving just a simulator, a combat simulator for the giant mechs of this series. They also are given mark classes as well, but most notably, the training simulator is only doing a Mach 17 version of the mech, which, when the character is plucked from underground and thrown into the training academy of the space pilots, he can't maintain a newer level suit. Now, the suits do have a name. This one called the Suzerashi, his main suit. But the suits in general are known as guards. Guards can clasp together in the fully jetted formations to get to and from locations and form defensive shields. These guard formations are rather impressive to look at, as is the general CGI animation in general used at points in the series. It's really, really good looking. But when the alien race is suddenly discovered by way of a ice drilling expedition, the war is back on, and Sidonia is once again at threat, with young Hayate and a bunch of young but not eager pilots thrust into the war to save what's left of the human race. What follows is an interwoven conspiracy of secrets, lies, and even some cloning involved. As well as trying to understand the alien race, which the alien race inducts their victims, eats them whole, and then takes their bodies and their minds and uses them for their own purposes. And trust me, very quickly in the show, the death count rises as young Iate gets thrown into combat situation after combat situation, protecting Sidonia with young female recruits by his side, often getting victimized just at the moment where their character development is about to go through a breakthrough. One of which, really early in the episode, in this episodic series looks like a romantic interest, but is quickly disposed of, but becomes a main core at the back end of the season when the alien race uses her body and mind to create kind of a red crimson guard that ends up destroying fleet after fleet. But the young girl's body is found and experimented in the lab, and actually is shown to have great in partial intelligence, feeling, and recognition of the main character. But Iete is not the only character here. Taking a page from harems, there are a couple of other close romantic interests. One of which happens to be a multi-sex. You see, in this world, humans no longer have to eat through traditional means. They photosynthesize like plants. Once a week, the photosynthesis process takes place and they don't have to feed again. Yes, it's also the anime's rampant excuse for, well, nearly full frontal nudity, but the whole idea of photosynthesis as a form of human preservation is an interesting construct, at least to me. So maybe giving the ability that through science, maybe that's the way to cure world hunger, perhaps? It got me thinking. And also, one of the lead romantic interests is neither a boy or a girl. But you can clearly tell via the writing that the character is used like a girl. She explains early in the anime that people like her can choose their gender at any time to have a romantic link with, whether male or female. Also quite interesting. Kind of reminds me of the Asaris from Mass Effect when I first originally thought of the concept. But as the body counts rise and the evil aliens grow in power, size, and number, near the end of the anime, stuff starts to hit the fan. And that's where the anime tends to fall flat, is in its ending. Its ending is not really an ending at all. It leaves you with way too many questions and open for a season 2 diatribe. The romantic relationships are pretty much hammered out, and a few pilots even go through psychological war trauma. Even Hiete, after the death of one of the female pilots, clearly suffers from post-traumatic war syndrome about her death, and even has a contemplated mental thought of having to stop piloting. What makes it worse is between all this, there's an underlying conspiracy by the leaders of Sidonia, led by a woman in a mask known as Kiviashi, to keep Hayate under wraps. Plus, there's a group of what are known as the Immortal Consul, people that have found a way to cheat death so much that just taking a drug will make them immortal. These guys seem to be the ones truly in control of Sidonia's fate, and Hiete is part of the deal. What's worse is it looks like the legendary pilot from years ago that saved the human race from the aliens aliens was used in some unfortunate experiments that involved cloning. Now, this will be a major plot point of the series, so I won't spoil it. But let's just say around episode 7 or 8, the pieces will start coming together. And you'll start to see who's really in control and why Hiate's character is so important. There's plenty of sub-characters that have plenty of depth, secrets, and lies, and downright mistrust. The show suffers from being a bit too serious, with really no light-hearted moments to be sprinkled on. Yeah, there's a joke or two, but by and large, nothing. Just absolutely nothing. At some points, especially early in this anime, it can become dark and depressing with the amount of death on screen and the fact that the aliens' form of indoctrination might remind you of, well, more adult subject matter might not make the show acceptable for certain anime fans of certain ages. Plus, it's talk of love, loyalty, racial understanding, tolerance, and even political power plays permeate the show's spectacular battles that are given great animation and great gravitas. The sound design is well executed, while the opening and closing themes are some of the best I've heard of recent of the animes I've watched. Knights of Sidonia is an anime that's filled with lots of potential. A voice cast hoisted by big name talent pushed this anime forward. But this anime leaves you wanting more without really answering any of the major questions about some of the characters that are pulling the strings. All you know is it's not over yet. For Netflix's first real attempt at a true Japanese animated series under their belt, they truly picked a good one to start with. But again, the adult themes, the dialogue heaviness of Knights of Sidonia, and yes, there's plenty of dialogue, and some of the more adult scenes in nature, and the open-endedness of the ending without any real answers, seeing that the anime is only 12 episodes, might leave you wanting more in a negative way. Me, I'm just hoping that it can really bounce off and become something. There's potential here. Let's just hope it's not lost on it. But for what it is, I have to be honest and give Knights of Sidonia a 7. Based on the notion of its dialogue heaviness, open-ended ending, and the fact that lead character even goes through a couple of deaths and magically resurrects as though the plot needs him to resurrect. The forced resurrections and almost superhumanness of Hiate can be a turn off to some, but the rest of the supporting cast around him will keep it interesting. The music, sound, and general animation animation done by Polygon Films is a nice thing to look at. And with the anime's length, Knights of Sidonia Season 1 can be easily binge watched in a couple hours, making it perfect for Netflix and any subscriber therein. It may not appeal to you, and it may not have the intrigue of other animes like Attack on Titan, but if you're looking for something of the mecha genre that can be short and out of your way quickly, I would suggest Knights of Sidonia to you. If there is a season 2, you can be sure to stay here with Code Equestria to find out how it fared. But for right now, it's a 7. So, now I have a question for you guys. What's your favorite mech anime? And if there's any other animes that Netflix should pick up as original series, leave them down in the comment section below. And also, if you've watched Knights of Sidonia, give me your thoughts in the comments section about it. I'd love to hear it. Until the next Kadic Review, I'm Nirvana Spark. Find peace in your own Nirvana. Thanks for watching.